If you grew up in the early to mid 2000s, it's very likely that you've seen this logo on some of your favorite licensed games.
THQ.
Responsible for such titles as SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Cars the video game, Scooby-Doo Mystery Mayhem, and Bratz Rock Angels, and many more. THQ dominated the landscape of licensed children's games, which brings us into today's topic. A game that you've probably played, but you never knew about its original origins. So, let's take a look at the forgotten PlayStation 1 prototype of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. While you've probably played or at least heard of 2002 Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, it was released on PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. The game saw Scooby fighting against old rivals in a creepy mansion to save the gang.
Hooray, everybody! They got Raggy, Velma, Red, and Radney!
That's right, the gang is missing, and it's up to you to help find them in the all-new Scooby-Doo video game. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, available now on PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Rated everyone.
However, this wasn't what Night of 100 Frights was originally supposed to be. On January 26, 2000, IGN released a news article stating that THQ had just signed a 3-year deal with Warner Brothers Interactive, licensing out the Scooby-Doo franchise. With a Nintendo 64 game confirmed, as well as a PlayStation 1, all looking forward to being released around fall 2000, right before the peak buying season. Well, the season came, and while we did get Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers for both the N64 and the GameCube Color, the PlayStation game was nowhere to be seen. Taking a look at THQ's website through the Wayback Machine, we can find Night of 100 Frights listed under the PlayStation section. When you click it though, it just takes you to a landing page that says more info coming soon. Following the release of Classic Creep Capers, this page was quietly removed, seemingly spelling the end of this version of Night of 100 Frights. May 29th, 2021. Game Rave, a website and YouTube channel dedicated to collecting and archiving lost games, variants, and demo discs, posts an article detailing this lost prototype of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, with a link to download the game's files for use with a PlayStation emulator. The game, still being in a prototype build, has some issues, as well as it being a completely silent game aside from the cutscenes. Though through the works of I Love Pokemon 1239, or as they're better known, Baby Gabe in the Game Rave Discord, a good majority of the game's content has been uncovered and documented, which I would like to take you through now. The game starts with an intro cutscene of Scooby and Shaggy going through a dark ride set to the Scooby-Doo Where Are You theme song. The game has no startup menu and instantly takes you into the opening cutscene. The gang is having dinner with a Scoop Spalding, a famous TV host who has his sights on making Scooby-Doo famous by hosting him on his TV show.
Everyone becomes famous when they appear on my show. Can't wait to have you on.
All of a sudden, our main villain for the game shows up as a hologram, telling the gang that you must retrieve 12 keys to get to him.
You'll need 13 keys like this one. That's the first one. The other 12 are hidden all over the area. Not only that, but they're guarded by holographic reconstructions of dozens and dozens of the ghosts and monsters you've met in the past.
The monsters from the gang's past being holograms is actually the ending of the 2002 Scooby-Doo. Like, that's the big twist at the end, is that everything's a hologram. Holly the hologram.
The real Holly has been the mastermind the entire time. Think about the clues.
Remember how Holly said she followed all of our cases? Only she'd know enough about our old foes to program holograms of them.
Which isn't the only thing that was taken from this early prototype that made it into the next game. The monster then takes Scoops and were sent to the overworld of the game.
In fact, Scoop Spalding won't be seen ever again either.
Mr. Spaulding, he's disappeared.
You'd better get to work.
Before we discuss the levels that are shown in the overworld, I want to talk about the gameplay first, and this will all be set to the backdrop of the game's first level, which is going to be Major Miners Mining Town. You as the player take control of Shaggy and Scooby, running across a pre-rendered FMV background and balancing health between the two of them. On this course, you have multiple paths you can take, items to collect, obstacles to avoid, and monsters that'll chase you. If a monster catches up to you, the character that is hit will lose all of their health and have to be carried, which leads into the next gameplay mechanic. Scooby and Shaggy both have health separate from one another. If Scooby trips, Shaggy doesn't get hurt, and if Shaggy grabs an item of food, Scooby doesn't get it, so on and so forth. The interesting thing about this mechanic is that while carrying another character, the person carrying drains health more rapidly, but both gain the health pickup. If both Shaggy and Scooby run out of health, it's game over. Your overall goal in each level is to collect keys, but how do you collect the keys? That's where everyone in the community isn't really sure, but I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's take a step back and finish the maps first. The prototype has 5 accessible levels, with a 6th, the Wax Museum, being found in the game's files, but at this time is completely inaccessible. Our first level, as previously talked about, was the Major Miners Mining Town, an old west town with a mine system and some farms. The second level, Mystic Manor, which for the more vigilant Scooby-Doo fans out there, you would have known that Mystic Manor is the location that the 2002 game takes place in. This level includes the courtyard, the house, a barn, downstairs and upstairs, and even an attic. The third level, Wolf's Inn Lodge, a snow lodge retreat, has both an upstairs and downstairs and an overview of a snowy landscape, as well as a store. The fourth level, Frightland Amusement, is seemingly broken. It's a pier with an amusement park, but reaching this point crashes the game. However, Noberto82 found a way to access the level, albeit without the FMV playing in the background. Baby Gabe also has this documented, which I used the footage for. And then our final level, Main Street, this being the largest level with almost 2 separate levels in it entirely. We first have the streets, which have some shops that you can go through, a museum of all the gang's past villains. Then you have the movie studio, which inside the movie studio is a sprawling lab. Further into the lab, we even get to see the game's main antagonist. With the levels out of the way, let's discuss how the game was presumably supposed to be played. Throughout each course, you can collect various items as well as clue scrolls, which when picked up play a cutscene. Out of the 12 keys obtainable, there's only 3 that have ever been obtained. The 3 that have been obtained were from the mining level, the manor, and the lodge. As the player runs throughout the map, the monsters will begin chasing them, indicated by this box here. Bringing enough of these monsters to the mystery machine will eventually spawn the clue scroll corresponding to the level's boss, triggering a cutscene. After this cutscene's triggered, the monster will spawn in and chase the player, finish 1 lap around the map, and then collect the defeat clue scroll, triggering another cutscene. A key will then spawn somewhere randomly in the map. The bosses for each level are as follows: Headless Spectre in Major Miners Mining Town, Old Iron Face in Mystic Manor, Snow Ghost in the Wolf's Inn Lodge, and the Creeper on Main Street. The previously discussed method of obtaining keys works with all of the 4 working levels aside from Main Street, because after you collect the clue scroll, Creeper does not spawn into the level. Old Iron Face, Snow Ghost, and Creeper all have scenes showing an item obtainable through the game used to defeat them. The oil for Iron Face, the tanning lamp for Snow Ghost, and the ketchup for the Creeper. So it's presumed in the final game, the player would have to obtain these items in their inventory before completing the final lap and obtaining the key. Aside from how buggy this game is in the prototype state,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I actually really enjoyed playing it. The gameplay loop of like going around in circles to these beautifully rendered PS1 maps and just exploring the different parts, it really kept me intrigued and just wanting to do another lap to go take that one path that I didn't take before. So I highly recommend going over to Game Rave's site and downloading it and giving it a try. Like I said, it's buggy. It doesn't have any sound. The cutscenes can be super loud, so be careful if you're wearing headphones. Really give this a try. As well as looking through Baby Gabe's channel on YouTube and the Google Doc that he has documenting all of this progress and things that he's learned about the game, which has a bunch of stuff I didn't even touch on in this video. As far as for why this game was canceled seemingly so far into its run of being developed, I'm not gonna presume to know anything about that. I'll leave that to people who know how to develop games and know the PlayStation hardware. Game Rave in his video said he thinks a lot of it might have been issues with the PlayStation's RAM and how the RAM functions and loads the game in that makes a lot of these glitches so apparent. And that's going to do it for this video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I like making things like this. I didn't want to ramble too much. Like I said, there's more things I didn't touch about. Those are all going to be in Gabe's documentation, which I'm going to be linking in the description, as well as his channel and Game Rave's article, as well as their YouTube channel. Go check them out. Go download the game, give it a play, and that's going to do it. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.